नाव काय वैतागाला म्हणतो बघ.
आणि काय झालं तिकडं काय सारखं
Moin sir, I think we should start now. So, dear students, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, fine. So there is more than 80% attendance, more than 80% students are here. So first of all, let me introduce to you with Moin sir. It's our honor and privilege to have Moin sir taking our lectures. So Moin sir has over 32 years of experience in pharmaceutical industry. He's yes. He is pharmacist by education. Moin sir is the most well-known pharmacovigilance professionals in India. Moin sir has experience of practically every facets of industrial pharmacovigilance while serving reputed international pharmacos like Sanofi Aventis, and his last assignment being with Johnson & Johnson as Regional PVQA Director, Asia Pacific. Sir has undergone extensive training in US, Germany, France, and Singapore, and is a certified lead auditor. So you will come to know what is a lead auditor and all that terminologies. He is one of the co-author in developing the protocol for India's National Pharmacovigilance Program, for which you have been studied in your last previous lectures. Indian National Pharmacovigilance Programs. In addition, Moin sir is also a member of the Central Advisory Committee of DIA India. He is a visiting faculty and international speaker and author whose articles have been published in international journals of repute. So with this introduction, I give over to you, Moin sir.
Yeah.
You can, yes, you can proceed with the lecture. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum and good morning and belated Republic Day greetings to all of you students. It's my privilege that I'm always excited to share my knowledge, my experience with younger generation, because that is the only way we can educate, inspire people to reach greater heights. And Kalsekar has been an institute where I have been regularly visiting, and also I'm associated with Kalsekar in whatever capacity which is possible for me. Let me go to the next slide. There is some glitch, technical glitch. My slide deck is not moving. So yeah, now it's okay. So today's theme is a big mix of bag. And I had really, in fact, there was no prepared material, though I have material around almost every topic in pharmacovigilance. This was something where I did not have any ready material, and I had to sit down and prepare this particular slide deck to explain to you what exactly, because somebody in the university has developed this syllabus without knowing the nuances of pharmacovigilance and this particular domain. So, you know, they, whatever came to their mind, they just listed out. And as a result of that, they said that, okay, let us have these topics. So as per the syllabus 1.6, establishing pharmacovigilance program. So what do they mean by establishing pharmacovigilance program is how in a setup, how if anyone, whether he is part of CRO or he is a part of a pharmaceutical company, contract research organization, which is known as CRO, or even if he is part of the national regulatory authority, how a pharmacovigilance program can be established, right? So there are various levels at which pharmacovigilance really works. So the hospital will be the smallest level, which can be a minuscule of pharmacovigilance system set up. What bigger organization like a multinational company would have. So there is no comparison in terms of magnitude and number of people and infrastructure when you compare a small hospital or even a big hospital to a big manufacturing unit or marketing authorization holder like Pfizer's and Roche, other companies. Contract research organization is the just hold please. As compared to that, we have contract research organizations. We have some slides around that. And let me explain to you what a contract research organization is really. So if a company does not have sufficient resources, infrastructure, and the workload is too much, then you outsource some of your activities to an organization through a contract. And that organization which does some of the activities which you were supposed to do as a marketing authorization holder, then that organization is known as a contract research organization. So in terms of magnitude, infrastructure, number of people, softwares, hardware, CRO will have definitely more or bigger setup than a hospital, right? Then the third in the line will be a manufacturing or a pharma company, which is also known as marketing authorization holder. I'm sure you must have heard this terminology, marketing authorization holder, because every company who is, even if he is not manufacturing a molecule or a formulation, if that company markets, and then all the regulatory obligations are owned by this one company, which is known as marketing authorization holder. This particular terminology is not being used in Indian context, and because we call it a license holder. So a license holder, now there is a big question going on by DCGI and CDSCO and PVPI, that whether all license holders will also have PV responsibilities. Because what happens in India, the scenario is little different. So in US and EU, if you are the marketing authorization holder, irrespective of what work you are doing or what work you are not doing, you would be totally responsible for all the regulatory and pharmacovigilance and safety obligation of that particular drug which you are marketing and which people are consuming. As against this, in India, the system is little different. We have active, what we call as API manufacturer, so they also have a license. Then we have some formulators, they also have a license. Then we have the actual marketing companies, they also have a license, right? So there are many examples which you can see that they purchase the API from company A, the formulation is being done by company B, and company C is only marketing it. So who is ultimately responsible for the safety of that particular drug? So this is a big question. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain it to you. And all these terminologies which I'm using, like marketing authorization holder and the regulatory authorities, the CROs, I'm sure Smita must have taken and explained to you something. And these are not very new terms and terminologies to you. Am I right? Hello, can somebody respond to me? Is it right? Are you right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, great. And in case if you don't understand anything, please let me know so that I can again go back, rephrase myself, try to explain you in simpler words, because I'm sure and I know that you are coming from the background and you are not really exposed to pharmacovigilance and this particular segment and domain of the science. And the last, but as compared to Indian smaller companies, where a pharmacovigilance setup can be only of two persons. One, the main drug responsible person, what is known as the PV officer in charge. If you see the PVPI or if you see our regulations, what our regulations in India want is the PVPR, PVOI, pharmacovigilance officers in charge, PVOI, and there should be one backup, so that in case if he is not around, there should be some other person who can take care of all the safety requirement. And besides that, what else he can have? He can have a laptop, he can have a desktop, he can have a form, and that's about it. And he is supposed to do all the safety related activities by himself, because the number of ADRs and AEs reported to small pharmaceutical company is almost nothing. Sometimes it is zero, because they have not established, they don't promote pharmacovigilance. Their medical representatives don't go and tell the healthcare professionals that we have a PV system in place. And that's why, in case if you have any safety related complaint, you should report it. And they do not have pathways created by which they can receive such complaints. And they, of course, now in India, they are also asking for PSMF, which is known as Pharmacovigilance Master File. So the master file is a huge document which defines, I mean, of course, our master file in India is much smaller, and it is a concise, like you have a main dictionary, then you also get Oxford Concise Dictionary. So similarly, elsewhere, like in Europe, when you ask for master file, system master file, it's a huge document, maybe of 500 pages. But in India, the pharmacovigilance master file is just a minuscule master file of drug safety department, which gives all the details about how drug safety is being managed by that particular company. So you will have to give the name of the PBOI, his backup, then whether you are using any safety database or you are using Excel sheet, then what are the SOPs and other things. So, and this you will get in the, are you aware that there is a guidance document which was released by CDSCO and PVPI in January 2018. So there are various sections, and there is one section is on pharmacovigilance system master file. So we can come to that, but I think that is not included in your syllabus. But if anybody talks about what is pharmacovigilance system master file or PSMF, you should understand this is the document which gives details about the pharmacovigilance system, which is established by the marketing authorization holder in other countries, and which is established by the licensee holder in India. And it is the main company who is marketing this particular drug, irrespective of the fact whether they are manufacturing or they are formulating it or not. And this has some details about the entire system of pharmacovigilance which is being used by that company. Have I made myself clear? Right? So in a bigger setup, like say Novartis or Pfizer's J&J, is a huge setup. It is so huge setup that probably some of the setups of big markets, big pharma companies would be bigger than a national pharmacovigilance program. Like you saw pharmacovigilance program of India. So similarly, the national pharmacovigilance program, let me at this point of time distinguish between a national pharmacovigilance program and PVPI, which is very unique to India. No other countries has a unique parallel pharmacovigilance program like what we are running today, and which is known as Pharmacovigilance Program of India. This comes under Ministry of Health, and it reports to CDSCO, and CDSCO is again reporting to Ministry of the Health. But this is not the regulatory body. Please remember this. So every country has a regulatory body, and that regulatory body runs a pharmacovigilance program. But in case of India, we have two separate bodies. One is Pharmacovigilance Program of India, which is an affiliate organization of CDSCO and DCGI, that is our Drug Commissioner General. Okay. And so whatever they receive, they also report to our DCGI's office, and the pharmaceutical companies in parallel are also reporting to DCGI's all the safety information. But you can just see, if you take a Novartis pharmacovigilance setup in Switzerland, so the Novartis has presence in more than 100 countries. So the number of AEs and ADRs which they receive, the type of processing they require, the number of people they require, and the so many other things. And when we do the pharmacovigilance, how a drug safety department works in the industry, you will realize that there are so many departments, there are so many functions within pharmacovigilance. Okay, so the headquarters of pharmacovigilance of Roche, Novartis, which is based in Switzerland, probably will be much bigger than the Swiss National Drug Regulatory Authority, because they are responsible only for Switzerland. Okay, so it will be a small unit which caters to a population of Switzerland, which is less than Mumbai. Okay, so the number of ADRs which received from our Swiss citizens and all the other infrastructure will be proportionate to their workload. So here, a national program, National Drug Regulatory Authority pharmacovigilance setup will be smaller than a big major pharma company which is operating from that country, right? But there are bigger drug regulatory authorities like FDA, like EMEA, like MHRA. They are huge regulatory authorities and agencies which command respect from all the stakeholders, also the World Health Organization. So they would be much, much bigger, because like US FDA, they receive not only cases from Novartis, but they get cases from Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and they must be getting cases from more than 1,000 people, companies who are marketing their drug in US. And US does not want only cases from originating from US, but they want all the cases originating from all the other countries where this molecule, this particular drug is being, marketed. So the number of AEs, number of ADRs coming there, their processing, and all the other, the chain of operation which follows after getting a AE, as we will see it little later, will be much bigger as compared to any other pharmaceutical company. Is my lecture making sense? Are you understanding? I'm going too high, I'm going too fast. Please let me know, so that accordingly I can adjust my speed, my language, and other things. Please. Anybody? Rehan?
Yes, sir. I think it's going fine. I
Okay.
think students are understanding.
Okay, please stop me anywhere in case if you want to stop me, or if you can't understand anything. So our next slide is pharmacovigilance, and this I have what happened? Yeah. So this was I'm sure that Smita must have explained what pharmacovigilance is all about. So I'm just trying to emphasize on there are these four words or elements: detection, assessment, understanding, and prevention. Okay. So first you should understand adverse effect or adverse event, which we are going to understand more details in the few lectures. So in plain words or in a layman's language, what are adverse event or what is adverse drug reaction? Let me explain it to you in a very simple word that now when COVID was rampant and people were having fever, so you used to take a paracetamol to get rid of your fever or your headache. So you have a drug and you take a drug for a particular indication like paracetamol for fever or headache. So whether you get rid of the headache or fever, but paracetamol also causes you skin rash. So this skin rash was not expected by you, so it was unexpected. And this is unfavorable because it added one more disease or discomfort to you. So this particular event, which actually was in addition to what indication for what you had taken the medical medicine, is known as adverse uh, effect or adverse event or adverse drug reaction with when it is. The only difference between ADR and AE is when you are sure we have enough evidences that yes, this was caused by paracetamol, the drug which I took, then this will be known as adverse drug reaction. If you do not have sufficient evidences, then this will be called as an adverse event. So the entire activities, what we are talking, the science, the activities relating, how would you detect, how would you assess, how would you understand, and how would you prevent that this skin rash, which is caused by paracetamol, which was taken by a consumer or by a patient to get rid of his headache or his fever, right, should not cause skin reaction. So all these activities which go around or which are covering this adverse drug event, that is its detection, its assessment, understanding, and then preventing so that safety and well-being of the patient is being taken care of, is, because that is their moral, ethical responsibility. And this is the mandate from the regulatory authority that if you don't do it, we will revoke your license and you will not be able to market this particular formulation or drug. So that's why this is very, very important subject, not only from the safety and well-being of the patients, but also from a regulatory perspective that if you don't have a elaborate, uh, you know, organization and system, you will not be allowed to okay. So when you say detection, how detection will take place? Naturally, if you just sell the drugs in the market, do you think you will be able to detect the AEs from your drug? No. So when you use a term like detection, it means that you will have to monitor your drug in the market through some means. It can be your sales representative, or it could be that you provide them a call center number which is there in your PI or prescription in what you call as prescribing information, PIL or SMPC, or in the simple term you call it the leaflet which goes in the pack of the drug. So there a call center number toll free will be there. So people can approach you that I took your paracetamol and I have skin rashes. So this will be first part of the detection where you need when you need the monitoring. The second is documentation. So until and unless this is being reported, you will not come to know, your company will not come to know. And to report it to this, you need to have some sort of documentation. So company normally provides a AE form or ADR form, which is available through the sales representative. Sometimes it is available in the web portal of the company where you can download this. Sometimes it is available with the doctor himself. So whatever has happened to you, you are supposed to document, and this document is then being reported to the marketing authorization holder and company. So all these three things will compromise what is known as the detection. So they have used only one term detection, but then for detect something like this, you need these three type of activities. Okay. Then they say assessment. So what happens if this report comes to you? Would you be able to conclude anything without having any assessment in place? No. So you will have to do some type of assessment. So for assessment, what is required? All the reports which are coming to you, if you are not having any system to collect this report, these reports are coming through your sales representative, and somebody in your medical department is throwing in the dustbin, nothing is going to happen. So you need to have a system by which all the reports which come from any source. Why I am saying this collection? Because there are many sources from where reports can come to you. Reports can come to you even from medical literature. There are people who are writing letters to the editor of the journals that they had such and such episode with paracetamol. So you are supposed to do literature surveillance, and then you are collecting this. So collection becomes very important. And the next is not only collecting. If you collect everything, keep it in a file. Is anything going to happen? Is it going to give you any understanding of what is happening with your drug in the market? People are dying, people are having focomelia, people are having Steven Johnson syndrome. No, nothing will happen until and unless all these collected reports are being analyzed, right? So when you analyze, then you have some outcome. Good. So this outcome is being then understood. This understanding is in terms of scientific evaluation. So you have to have trained doctors who would see a plethora of adverse events which have been analyzed using various safety databases and what we called as signal management, because you're not getting one or two reports, you are getting thousands and thousands of reports every month. And then you have 20, 30, 40, 50 products. So while analyzing, you had to analyze for each product separately, and you had to also take care of not only what has been reported, like he took a paracetamol and he had a skin rash or his liver enzyme had elevated. So you need to know more information about this. So that's why your ADR form should have sufficient data which can be collected from the physician, doctor, and also from the patient, so that we can analyze this properly to come out or reach to some conclusion, which is outcome, which is being understood using scientific evaluation, where we are using various techniques for signal detection, which is known as qualitative technique and quantitative technique. We also need to know the drug and disease epidemiology, whether this is happening because this is also their part of the society, this is happening because of some medical condition of the patient. Like when you do the analysis after collecting information that paracetamol has caused liver enzyme elevation, that time from his medical history, you may come to know that this patient is also an alcoholic. So we know that people, when they take alcohol, it also increases the liver enzymes. So then there will be a question mark whether this liver enzyme was because of the NSAID or paracetamol, or whether this is because of his consumption of alcohol. So this evaluation needs to be done very, very scientifically, where epidemiology, concurrent illnesses, or what other drugs were being used, this is also being seen. And then we come to some signal detection activity. This is known, that is the scientific evaluation to judge the causality and also other factors and aspect of AE, which has been reported, is called signal detection. And based on this signal, then you would know that, yes, then you will be in a position to do or to take some action whereby you will be able to prevent this ADR happening in some of the population. And there are articles which say that if you have proper pharmacovigilance system, 50% of the ADRs can be eliminated or can be minimized. So for that, when you say preventing of ADR, then you have to make certain changes. Then you have to have risk management plan, and this risk management plan are then being communicated to all the stakeholders. So how do you communicate? You communicate through leaflet, PIL, PI, which goes to doctors, or you also declare this upfront on their SMPC. You write dear doctor letter to inform them in advance that you must have known. Let me give you a very frontline example, which will tell you exactly how communication is being made. So, there is a drug which is used by women for acne, which is known as isotretinoin. And people know that if women and girls use isotretinoin, it can cause congenital anomaly in case if the particular girl or woman was pregnant. Okay, so we have to make this very clear, and there are companies who are actually running a registry that no physician, no chemist would prescribe isotretinoin to a girl or to a woman without taking her consent and telling her that if you take this drug, or if you are taking this drug, and if you become pregnant or if you conceive, there is a risk that the child who will be born will have some what do you call as teratogenicity, that child will be born will not be healthy. He may suffer from focomelia. So either you should not take this drug, or when you are taking this drug, you should take all the precaution that you don't get conceived. So this is the sort of risk management plan which some of the drugs may have, and then you need to communicate this. So when you talk of a pharmacovigilance system, then you need to have people, infrastructure, processes, software, hardware, and everything which is necessary to take care of everything from detection to prevention of ADR. That means everything which is required to do monitoring right up to communication. So whether it is a hospital, whether it is a CRO, whether it is a pharma company, whether it is a national PV program, everybody will have to have this particular, everybody or every organization will have to have a setup which should be able to take care of all these activities. And the magnitude, the number of people, the number of the type of infrastructure, software, hardware, training, skill development, will be all depending on how many activities are, how big is the, what is the nature. Like you see, if a small pharma company is having one molecule and they are getting only 10 cases in a year, naturally, all the infrastructure and activities and hardware, software, probably they may not even require any software except for Excel sheet, So this will be very, very small compared to a Novartis or a US FDA, right? So this, if you have understood the basic concept of pharmacovigilance activities and what all goes on in the name of pharmacovigilance, this will be much easier for you to understand my slides which are coming, okay? So my next slide is, so you have certain essential components of pharmacovigilance, right? So you have patients. So patients, can anybody tell me why I have included healthy patients? Why do you need healthy patients? How healthy patients come into gambit of pharmacovigilance? We are always talking of patients, right? So how healthy individuals also would be included in pharmacovigilance? Anybody? Anybody from the student? Nobody?
So can I?
Yes, sure.
So in phase 1 trial, we need to do trials on healthy patients.
That's right. Very, very good. Who is this person? May I know your name, please?
Sir, Ikra Sheikh.
Ikra. I think so. You are connected to me through
Sir,
LinkedIn.
Ikra.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You are a student or teacher? Are you a student or are you a teacher?
So student.
That's very, I'm very happy that you could answer this question. Yes, you are right that you have healthy volunteers when you do clinical trials in phase 1 to know how the drug or the new molecule is going to act on human being, right? But I am surprised. Most of the people, I think students and your parents must have been vaccinated recently, right? So
Yes, sir.
all vaccination is being done on healthy volunteers, most of them. Even when the kids are small, you do MRM and you do BCG and all that. So those babies are healthy or those babies are having some disease?
Healthy babies.
Right? So all the people who are taking COVID vaccine, so they are on healthy people, and this is a prophylactic vaccine which is being used on healthy people. And that's why when we talk of component of pharmacovigilance, we had to take care of both the things. We had to take care of people who have some diseases and people who are healthy as well. So there is a likelihood, as you must have seen, there was a lot of hue and cry when COVID vaccine was given. It was reported in the newspaper that even after taking COVID vaccine, there were some reported deaths. There were some reported neurological diseases. Then fever was one of the very common adverse drug reaction with COVID vaccine. Then some headache and skin rashes at the site of injection. So these are all ADRs, typical ADRs for a vaccine which is given to the healthy person. So we should know that even healthy people come in the scope, under the scope of pharmacovigilance. And of course, when there are patients, they will be given drugs, and so drugs will naturally will be the next player in the play of pharmacovigilance or pharmacovigilance activity. So there I have put two type of drugs, okay? So drugs which are very, very specific treatment for a specific disease, right? So when you have a TB patient, so you would be prescribing rifampicin or streptomycin for this particular drug, right? And so this will be specific treatment for a specific disease. So, and this drug itself can cause an ADR to the patient who is taking this particular drug. Like we know, streptomycin damages the auditory nerve, and a very long term, and TB patients normally take streptomycin for a very long time as a primary treatment for drugs, though of course newer drugs have come. And we have seen, this is proven, that streptomycin also damages the auditory nerve, right? But besides that, there is a possibility that this particular patient was also taking some other drugs for some other disease which he is suffering. So if a TB patient is also a diabetic, he is having hypertension, so he might be taking some ACE inhibitors, or he might be taking some insulins, right? So when you give a streptomycin and he comes up with a ADR or adverse event, then you have to also see what other concomitant medication he was taking, because the adverse event which was presented after giving streptomycin or rifampicin may not be necessarily because of rifampicin or streptomycin. It might have been caused by the anti-diabetic drug or insulin or ACE inhibitor which he is taking for his hypertension. So the second player in the pharmacovigilance will be, after patient, will be the drugs what the patient has been taking. The third very important thing is the adverse event itself. So I already explained to you what is the adverse event. So anything which was unexpected, anything which was unfavorable, which was over and above the therapeutic use of the medication, so that particular event, and which is injurious, like a skin rash, like a Steven Johnson disease, like a phocomelia, like teratogenicity, like anaphylactic shock, okay? This all will be called as typical adverse event or adverse drug reaction when it is proven beyond doubt, because of the evidences we have in place, that this particular skin rash or Steven Johnson was caused by paracetamol. But now, after 2012, when EMEA came out with good pharmacovigilance practice modules guidance document. Have you heard of this EU good pharmacovigilance practice module 1 to 10 and then 15 and 16? Has anybody told you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So there is a module 6 which deals with the case processing, or how would you manage the ADRs and AEs which come to you as a marketing authorization holder, or which comes to you as a company. So besides this typical adverse event, you have to also take care of certain special scenarios of interest. So they have given 11 scenarios of interest. I'm just giving you, this you should remember that there are some special scenarios of interest, which also you need to capture and document this in your ADR form and report it to the company and also to the regulators. So they would like to know, in case if you have given this drug to a lady and the lady was pregnant, so they would like to know whether a pregnant lady has consumed this particular drug. Or if you have given a drug to a lady who was breastfeeding her child, then they would like to know whether this drug was given to a breastfeeding child. Then they would also like to know that in case if this drug was given and there was no efficacy shown by this drug. So all this lack of efficacy cases, they would like to know. In case if this drug was being abused, there was a medication error while giving this drug, a IV drug was given intramuscularly or intramuscular drug was given by IV, they would like to know about this. Okay. Then they would also like to know about what is known as a drug which was not meant for this indication, and this was being used for a particular patient. Like normally we see in viral diseases, we give patient antibiotics which are not indicated in such viral diseases. So this type of scenarios are also reported. These type of scenarios are reported so that the marketing authorization holder and the regulator will come to know a total picture, and they would like to know, like just I will give you one example. Now, when we do clinical trials, we do not include pregnant women or any women who are in their active reproductive phase, right? So even after doing phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, we really do not know that how your drug has acted or how your new drug will act on a woman who is pregnant and on his embryo, right? So when somebody when the drug is out in the market, and if a pregnant lady has taken this drug, the company and the regulatory authority would like to know that whether this drug has any teratogenicity effect on the embryo. So that's why on the fetus, that's why they would like that such a patient should be followed up till she delivers the baby to see whether there was any congenital anomaly, there was any teratogenic effect on the fetus, and that's how you would develop more information on this drug or more information on this particular molecule. And then when you have sufficient information, like you had sufficient information on thalidomide or the other drug which I told you in the morning, isotretinoin, then you can have a risk management plan. You can include this in your PIL, you can include in your SMPC that you should not I mean, there will be a contraindication, there will be a warning that this drug should not be given to pregnant women or lactating mothers, because this crosses and this goes and this endangers, it causes dangerous effect on the embryo, the fetus which is being developed. Okay, so in essential components, we first discuss patient, then we discuss drugs, then we discuss adverse event, and this cycle is not completed. You will never come to know the ADR happening or concomitant drug being used, or who was the patient, until and unless you have a reporter in picture, right? Can you come to know if a reporter is not in picture? How the company will come to know, or how FDA or DCGI's office will come to know that something like this has happened? Will they come to know, or they will not come to know? Anybody?
They will not come to know without reporter.
Right. So we need to have a reporter in place. This reporter will, until unless he reports to us or he reports to, just hold, please. Just hold, please. Huh? Kumar, I'm on a call right now. I will finish my call and I will come back to you. Okay. So you need a reporter. This reporter can be a healthcare professional like your own family physician. It can be the patient himself. He can write to the company, or he can directly report to PVPI that he had a skin rash after taking paracetamol. It can be your relative, right? If a patient had a serious adverse event and hospitalized, then the relative can report. Sometimes people directly report to regulator like to DCGI or PVPI or US FDA or MHRA. Then what happened, this MHRA or US FDA or PVPI then report back this to the company, so that the company also comes to know that there was a case like this, which was a result of taking their company drug XYZ. And then, as I said, literature is another source where people are writing articles, and in those articles, they are talking about the safety profile of the drug. So you are supposed to do safety surveillance or literature surveillance to find out whether there are any such report where your molecule or where your drug is involved. So these are the very four basic players in the entire picture of pharmacovigilance, without which the pharmacovigilance cannot be completed or activities cannot be taken. And this is the minimum requirement of reporting. So a case will not be valid until and unless you have a patient in the report. You have, I mean, you can identify that there was a male, there was a female, or there was a child, or there was an Asian patient, or whatever. Some identification should be there. Then the suspect drug should be there, that he had taken paracetamol, he has taken streptomycin. Then what happened to him after taking paracetamol? So you must have an adverse event, like he had a skin rash, or he had a Steven Johnson syndrome. And then you should have an identifiable reporter, whether a healthcare professional reported or the patient reported. So when these four elements are there in an ADR or in a case, we call it ICSR, individual case safety report. Remember this ICSR, we will come to this again when these four elements are there. And then this case will be called valid, and only this can be reported to health authorities. Until and unless these four elements are there, you cannot report this case because this case will be called as an invalid case, right? So this is the 4 important essential players in the pharmacovigilance scenario. So there are various stakeholders when it comes to the safety of the drug and safety of the patient. So let me just take you through very quickly, because they will be distributed across the all the establishments which we talked about. We talked about small company, we talked about hospital, we talked about company, we talked about national program, we talked about CROs. So, and we talked about patients. So when it comes to safety, let us take from the first. So first one is, of course, the sponsor. The sponsor, that is the company who is sponsoring or who is conducting a clinical trial. So the entire clinical team and the safety team of that company will be responsible for the safety of that particular patient during clinical trial. This sponsor becomes a company or marketing authorization holder when he markets this drug. So he automatically, it is his obligation to take care of the safety of the drug, right? Then the subject himself, the patient, right? It can be a healthy volunteer, it can be a subject which is enrolled, or it can be patient which has taken the drug. The third safety stakeholder would be the site investigator, because if you are doing so in a typical hospital setup, you will have subjects who will be enrolled, and they will be treated at site by investigators, right? And they are reporting the efficacy parameters through CRF, and also ADRs and adverse event to this sponsor company from here to here. Can you see my arrow on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he will be reporting this directly to the sponsor company in case if there is an essay. So he will take the drug, he will report to the investigator through the nurse. They have a CRF form which is being used during clinical trial, and through the CRF, this is being reported to the sponsor, right? Then where CRO comes into picture. So I told you contract research organization. So if this particular company, sponsor company who wants to do some clinical trials, and they do not have sufficient infrastructure, they do not have the skill set of the people, they do not want to have this being done in-house, they would outsource, this sponsor will outsource the clinical trial to the CRO. The CRO can be Parexel, the CRO can be Covance, CRO can be IQVIA. So, you know, and even if a sponsor wants to do quickly, if he wants to enroll 1,000 patients and he finds it difficult that in a particular country where he, suppose if he is in Switzerland, where will he get 1,000 patients in a quick time? It will not be possible to, who he will decide to outsource to a CRO, which is present not only in Switzerland, which is present in US, which is present in EU, almost 7-8 countries. So then the CRO also becomes responsible for the safety of the patient who are enrolled. So the CRO is not involved, or he is not in picture when it is post-marketing scenario, when the patient is taking, once the drug has been approved, the CRO will not come into the picture. then it is the patient directly who will be reporting it to the company. Okay. Then what is this IEC? Do you know? Institutional Ethics Committee. Okay. So every hospital, there will be an ethics committee, and there are some independent ethics committees as well. They are responsible to guard the safety and well-being of the patients. So when any CRO or any hospital, if they want to conduct a clinical trial, they have to first approach to the ethics committee. So the ethics committee, they will submit their protocol, they will submit their CRF, and the ethics committee will analyze whether there are safety issues, whether there are improper, if the protocol is not good enough, it does not guarantee safety and well-being of the patient. There is not sufficient activities to monitor safety and efficacy parameter. So they would ensure that everything is in place, and they will approve the protocol. And only after approval of the protocol, the sites can start, or the CROs can start their clinical trials, whether it is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. It is only after approval of ethics committee that these trials will start. And whenever during the trials there are, safety issues where there are serious adverse event or non-serious adverse event, you have to keep informing the ethics committee, besides informing it to the sponsor or company and to the regulatory authorities. You have to also report it to the regulatory authority. You report it to the sponsor or to the company, and company then reports it to the regulatory authority. Then there are certain cases where you have a DSMB, which is known as a Data Safety Monitoring Board. These are independent bodies, and when there are double-blinded clinical trials, there are clinical trials very huge, where they are susceptible type of patient like kids, in case if you're doing any pediatric study, or if you are doing on a very delicate segment of the patient, then you would like to know whether your trials are going in a right way. So this is independent. This DSMB will not have anybody from sponsor company. Okay, they will be professional from that therapy area who would be expert in therapeutics and also in safety. The data what they are collecting, so in a periodic manner, maybe on a quarterly or half-yearly manner, they will keep sharing this data with the DSMB. The DSMB will do analysis of this data to see whether the clinical trial is going in the right direction or whether it is unsafe. So they can then direct or instruct the sponsor either to stop the clinical trial, or they can ask the sponsor to make suitable changes in the protocol so that this safety of the well-being of the patient is being taken care of, right? Then you of course have regulatory authority. You cannot start any clinical trial. The sponsor cannot start. The company cannot put any medicine in the market until and unless you have approval from your regulatory authority. So you have to first take approval to start a clinical trial. When the clinical trials are over, you have submitted all the data to regulatory authorities, then you have to take approval that you can go ahead and market this drug only after medical trials, after approval from the regulatory authorities, you can go ahead and do clinical trial. You can also market this drug. And of course, you have some lobbies like medical communities and patients lobbies, like TB patients lobby, like HIV's lobby, like cancer lobbies. So they are also responsible and they are also interested party or relevant stakeholders as far as the safety and well-being of the patient is concerned. If they say that, oh, streptomycin is causing damage to the auditory nerve, so they will approach to the regulator. They can even approach to the Supreme Court, and they will try to get a ban on a drug which they feel is injurious to the patient. So these are all relevant stakeholders, right? So I have given a little more elaboration, patients, consumers. So these are end users, then primary reporters, direct reporting to this thing. Then these are the manufacturer or marketing authorization holder. Then you have pharmacovigilance unit of companies. Sorry, you have got healthcare professionals, the doctors, the family physicians. Then you have the pharmacovigilance unit of the companies. You can have the National Pharmacovigilance Program like we have PVPI. Okay, so so this where they receive this all this information and do the analysis. And remember that the various function the regulatory authorities they have to perform, this is very important for you. And this is first thing, they give permission for clinical trial. You cannot do any clinical trial unless you have submitted your protocol, you have submitted your forms, your training material, your safety management plan. This is called SMP. And then you have also provided the ethics committee approval where you want to conduct the program. Suppose if you want to conduct the program in Nair Hospital, KEM, so you have to submit all your documents to the ethics committee of KEM, and Nair, they will approve. So when you apply for clinical trial permission, then you have to give this entire details to the DCGI's office, including who are the investigators, your agreement with the investigators, which is known as CTA, and how you are going to monitor the safety, how you're going to report. All this should be there, part of the entire dossier, and you have to get the permission of clinical trial under Schedule Y of India, right? Yeah. You have any question? Somebody spoke just now. Hello? No? Okay. So, what is NDA? NDA is a new drug application. So once you have done your clinical trials, then you ask for marketing permission. So you apply for a new drug application, you put in, and these are various forms. And when after analyzing the data from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and your analysis and clinical trial report, the DCGI or FDA will decide whether this drug is safe and its benefits outweigh its risk. They will say that, okay, Pfizer, go ahead and market this drug. Okay. Even when you want to manufacture the drug, especially in India, you need a manufacturing license. So you have to again go, and this manufacturing license is given by state FDA and not by CDSCO. So we need two type of license. The marketing license come from there, and the manufacturing license come from the state FDA. So here you have to give the site plan, then your formulation, then your GMP requirement and everything you have to submit, and then they will give you permission for manufacturing of the drugs. Besides this, if you want to import any drug, export any drugs, then this permission also you need to take from the regulators. Then they also keep monitoring your compliance through inspection, whether you are GMP compliant, whether you are GCP compliant, or whether you are GVP compliant. So inspections can be of any type. Currently in India, only GCP inspections are taking place. GPV inspections are not taking place, but for all the other regulators of the world, they are inspecting for good manufacturing practice, good lab practices, good clinical practices, and good pharmacovigilance practices. Then they have to take regulatory actions. In case if they find that a company is not compliant with GVP or GCP or GMP, they can ban the manufacturing, they can revoke the license for selling, they can ask to do various other things to upgrade their facility, and they can also say that, okay, if you want to market, we want to have some risk management plan, how you are going to handle this type of adverse drug reaction. Like if you want to, market isotretinoin, they would say that isotretinoin is known to cause such and such thing. So how you are going to ensure that girls, young girls who are suffering from acne, and women, young women, if they want to use isotretinoin, how would you prevent pregnancy? So what would be your risk management plan? So you have to give your risk management plan, how you are going to do this. Then only, so this also comes under the purview of the regulatory agency. Any questions so far? So these are the various regulatory agencies of the world. Australia has got Therapeutic Goods Administration, which is known as TGA. Health Canada is known as Health Canada. Chinese Food Drug Administration name has now changed. It is now more CFDA. It is something else which is not coming to my mind. EMA is European Medicine Agency. Germany is BfArM. India is DCGI, Drug Controller General of India. New Zealand is MedSafe, easier to remember. Saudi Arabia is SFDA. UK is MHRA. US is most famous Food and Drug Administration. WHO is World Health Organization. Okay, this was just for your people to understand what are the various bodies which are the controller of the so what are the sources of adverse drug event? So you can get from patients and consumers and their relatives. You can get from, there are certain centers like poison centers or PVP centers, so you can get from there. You can get from published and unpublished manuscript. Then you can get from center and call centers. So you have patient safety programs, which is controlled by call centers. So they can also report it to you. Then you can get from your contractual partner. So if you have another country, which a company which is marketing your product along with you, so your contractual partner can report it to you. As I explained to you, the regulatory authority can report it to you. You can get it from newspaper, lay medium. You can get from clinical trial, and you can get from doctors and pharmacists. So these are the various sources. And now to this, you add the social media. So the social media also you will get from Twitter or Facebook or from other sources like WhatsApp, in case if you are monitoring that, or if you have a Facebook page, there is a possibility that patients may write something over there. So these are all sources through which you can get adverse event. Okay. So this I have already said. Only remember one thing. These all adverse event are divided into two buckets. One is called solicited, another is called unsolicited. Can somebody explain me what do you mean by solicited and what do you mean by unsolicited? Anybody can explain to me what is the difference between solicited adverse drug reaction and unsolicited?
So solicited means it comes from a particular organized database, and unsolicited means it comes randomly from any source.
Yes, you could not explain it properly. Just let me explain it further. Solicited means you are yourself soliciting. Okay. You are asking the trial site, you are asking the CROs, you're talking and training the doctors who are part of your trial. So whatever organized data collection schemes or programs you are conducting, all the adverse drug reaction safety information coming from this organized data collection program will be called as solicited report. So it can be clinical trial, all phases. It can be investigator initiated trial. It can be BAB like bioequivalence or bioavailability studies. It can be post-marketing safety studies. It can be pharmacoepidemiology studies. It can be registries. It can be patient support program. It can be market research, surveys. So all this information, because these are all planned, organized programs conducted and sponsored by companies, and where you are training your stakeholder that whenever you get anything like this, any safety information related to our product should be reported to us immediately. And that's why these are called as solicited. As against this, anything which is non-solicited is, this is not part of an organized, planned program by the company. This comes spontaneously, this comes voluntarily, and that's why this is known as non-solicited. So you as a patient, you report. Nobody is asking you to report, you are reporting. Healthcare professionals, they are reporting. Employees of the company, sales staff, they are reporting because the doctors has reported to them. Legal, some patient has, filed a suit against your company. So this automatically becomes a spontaneous report. Then literature, you yourself searching for it. Okay, nobody is reported to you. Okay, product complaint. So if somebody reports to you a quality issue, along with that quality issue, there is a medication error, okay, or there is a misuse. So then this becomes a spontaneous report. Then through internet or through your partner, this spontaneous report coming to your partners, this comes to you also. So this automatically becomes the a non-solicited report. So when you have safety reports, or whenever a patient actually suffers, our patient has taken a drug and he has experienced a undesirable, unexpected, untoward medical occurrence which was unfavorable or which was injurious, then it gets reported, right? So how this reporting takes place? It can be a crisscross reporting communication which takes place between so many stakeholders. So you can add to this a lot of other stakeholders itself. So of course, the primary person from where it is either patient or the subject which is part of the clinical trial. So if he has paracetamol and he had skin rash, he can either report it to the family physician who had prescribed, or he can also report it to the company through his website, where he has a field to report for the company related product ADR. He can directly report to the PVPI or DCGI. So this is also possible. Okay. The second route can be the patient can report to the physician who had prescribed. The physician can report to the company, the marketing authorization holder, and he can report to the DCGI's office. Okay. Or in US and Europe, the healthcare professionals, they can directly report to regulators without reporting to the company. And when regulator has such a report where it has been very clearly mentioned that this has not been reported to company, even if it's mentioned, they would report such cases to the marketing authorization holder, so that in case if this is not being reported by him or by patient, they should not miss out on the that particular report. Okay, today there is another thing in place which is known as National Pharmacovigilance Program, Pharmacovigilance Program. Our healthcare professionals in KEM or NIR or in PGI or in other hospitals, they can directly report to the PVG centers, and they can also report to the regulators. Okay, and this is WHO Uppsala Monitoring Center. Nowadays, all the regulators of the world, they are having a collaboration with WHO, Uppsala Monitoring Center, US FDA, EU. Sometimes the companies are also required to report it to the other regulators. So this regulator is not only the national regulators, this can be international regulators. So they are exchanging data and safety information between WHO, UMC, and all the regulators of the world to consolidate data to get more and more information, so that their understanding of the drug, their understanding of the safety profile of the drug, their understanding and analysis of what is happening, what is the mode of reaction, why this is happening, what could be the more what could be the condition under which this can be happening or more likely to happen, how many times, what is the frequency, all the qualitative and quantitative aspect of drug related incident or adverse drug event can be analyzed, understood, and a better prevention mechanism can be created by all the drug manufacturing and drug selling companies of the world, and also patients, relatives, healthcare professionals, prescribers. They can be educated so that, okay, they will take care of, they will have these precautionary measures which are being taught to them, which are being communicated to them through patient information leaflet, through pack insert, through SMPC, through Dear Doctor letters, okay, so that we have less and less safety problems and we take care of the well-being of the patient. Okay, so I have almost completed half the slide deck. Okay, it is almost 1.5 hours. In another half an hour, it is impossible for me to complete another. I have almost 37 or 40 slides. I just don't want to go on, slide after slide without explaining it. So what we will do, we will have an additional lecture on the same topic some other time. And please remember, this Saturday, I was supposed to take this lecture at 10:30, but I have some other commitments. So this Saturday, there will be no lecture. I will inform Rehan and Dr. Sharik that next week we will have 3 lectures instead of Thursday and Saturday, we might have a lecture either on Monday, Tuesday, or maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and Saturday. So I will keep Rehan informed and Dr. Sharik informed. They will let you know when we are going to have this, and you can join me. I hope today's lecture was beneficial to you. It was educational, and you have learned a lot of things about the topic which I spoke to you about 1.5 hours. So if you have any question, I'm still available. Please ask me any question if you have. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. If you don't ask your question, I will understand you have not understood anything out of this my 1.5 hours lecture. Any question? There are 100 people. Don't tell me that you understood each and everything about what I told you in 18, 17 slides. Even very stupid question, very preliminary question, very basic question. Nobody is going to laugh at you, okay? At least I'm not going to laugh at you.
Sir,
Yes.
can you explain the contractual agreement sources?
Yes. So, like, take example, I was in Sanofi Aventis, okay? So Sanofi Aventis had some molecules, and we did not have offices in Latin America, okay? So we tied up a company which was a native of Latin America, and they had a very strong presence over there, and they had a very strong sales force. And as you know, that Latin America, where the spoken language is Spanish, okay? So we had a contractual agreement with that particular company XYZ that all our molecules or all these products should be marketed by them, okay? And after marketing, so we will be supplying the product, they will be marketing, they will be given price for marketing, whatever price was fixed between them and us, okay? And they were asked that in case if there are any ADRs reported in the Latin American market, okay, I mean, we had picked up some 5 countries, including Peru and Europe and other countries. So they would be reporting this ADR from Latin America, which would be reported to them, and they would report it to us. So this type of contracts is called, companies are called contractual partners. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Your distributor also can be contractual partner. So you in India, if your company naturally cannot go to every nook and corner of India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, you have various distributors who are selling, forwarding or selling your product to chemists. So they also become your contractual partner. So when you write a safety data exchange agreement or an agreement with such distributors, you have a safety reporting clause in that in case if they have anybody reports to them any ADR or any safety report about the product, then they have to report it to them immediately. I mean, they have to report it to you immediately within 24 hours time. So this distributor also become your contractual partner. Okay, have I understood? Have I explained it well?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. Any other question?
So, solicited. I just want to know in layman language.
What's that?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, I just want to know solicited and non-solicited in layman language.
Solicited and non-solicited.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. See, the term itself, solicit means what? You request, right? You solicit some help from your colleague, right? So what is the meaning of soliciting? Soliciting is requesting, right? So solicited report that you are requesting are through your contractual obligation, you are making it mandatory for all your contractual partner that whenever they have an adverse event or safety information related to their product, they have to report it to you. So you have already have a protocol, you have a program, you have planned the program, you have trained the people, whether it is what you call as CROs, whether it is the healthcare professionals who are working in the hospital and conducting clinical trial for you. So they have been already, we conduct a training program for all the investigators, their teams. We conduct training program who conduct market research program for us. We conduct training program, and we also have a agreement in place. And in this agreement, they promise and they sign that in case if they come across any safety information about the product under this particular program, they will report it to you. So all these reports are called solicited because you are requesting it to you. Okay. As against this, anything which is being reported to the company on a voluntary basis, you are not asking patient to report. You are not asking consumer to report. You are not asking the general physician to report. Okay. But out of their free will, they are reporting safety information, ADR, to the company or to the regulator. Since this is being done spontaneously by them out of their free will, this is called non-solicited. Have you understood
Yes, sir.
now?
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay, good. Any other question? Any other question, please? No? So can I leave the meeting? Okay, so great. It was good talking to all of you, and I hope this was informative. And I will be taking another 1 or 2 sessions more. Next week, I will decide. The Thursday and Saturday is, of course, there. But most probably it will be Tuesday that I will be taking a lecture at 10 o'clock. But I will come back to Rehan, and Rehan will inform the people. Okay, dear?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, take
Thank you.
care. Take care.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the informative lecture.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.